What's happening, gang? Hello. Got any questions? Mallory, a secret ballot is exactly what it sounds like. It is a ballot that they give you when you walk into the booth, and you fill out your candidates, and then you turn it in. I think the idea behind secret ballot was a way to reform political machines because no one was putting pressure on you to vote a certain way or to vote for political candidates. Your boss wasn't there standing looking at your ballot, that sort of thing. Okay. How did the Socialist Party die out? Uh, book talks about World War One, and this is something we'll get to in the next chapter. World War One really made life tough on the socialists. Socialist Party is very much against the war. They think it is a war that allows rich men to get richer while poor men die, and so they're very much against the war, which is a real problem when America decides to join, because now the socialists being anti-war means they are anti-American. And so the Socialist Party is going to take a beating during and after World War One because they seem like treasonous anti-Americans. Okay. Stalwarts and half-breeds, they are Republicans. And the stalwarts want to keep the spoils system, and the half-breeds want to reform how government jobs are handed out or assigned to people. That's the deal with the stalwarts and the half-breeds, right? It's a war within the Republican Party. Yeah, Abby, William Jennings Bryan, Cross of Gold. That's kind of the big thing. Please remember that he is the candidate for both the Populists and the Democrats in 1896. He is a silverite. He wants to see silver coined to help farmers out. That's why the Populists nominate him. The Democrats nominate him as well. And so what's going to happen is you're going to split that portion of America's vote, and the Republicans are going to win. Okay. Kron, it's a unit test, brother. If you ask the fourth hour kids, it is a tough unit test. So please don't take any shortcuts tonight. Okay. Hawaii is one of those territories that America annexes during the Gilded Age progressive era because it makes for good naval bases and provides cheap sugar. Okay. What do we have to know about eugenics? What do you know about eugenics? I think it's a way for progressives to try to weed the inferior and unfit out of society. Remember that the progressives are big on social cohesion. They want everybody on the same page, doing the same thing. They want everybody rowing the boat in the same direction. Eugenics is a way to selectively take out the undesirables in society, and that's why it's pretty nasty stuff that we tend to disapprove of today. Insular cases. Huge debate over expansion and whether or not the United States should go out and colonize other parts of the world. One of the arguments of the Anti-Imperialist League is that imperialism is undemocratic. It's immoral. We don't have any intention of giving these people American citizenship. We don't have any intention of giving them constitutionally protected rights. We are just like Britain or France or Belgium or anybody else going out into the far corners of the world and ruling over people. So insular cases are Supreme Court cases that basically address the question, does the Constitution follow the flag? In other words, if you are going to go take over Guam, do the Guamians now have constitutional rights, like the Bill of Rights? And the answer is no. And so the Anti-Imperialist League is 100% correct. We have no intention of making these people citizens or giving them the rights. It's part of the reason they argue that American imperialism is wrong. What's the difference between populists and progressives? So the populists are farmers, plus the Knights of Labor and other union folks. They are agitating for the rights of workers and the rights of farmers, and they want government to do something to address their problems. Political party. Progressives are a grassroots movement to address the problems in America because the government is reluctant to do so. So the progressives are not necessarily a political party, although Teddy Roosevelt will try and form a progressive party in 1912. Progressivism is a grassroots movement to fix society's problems. Populism is a political party to address the needs of farmers and workers. Okay. Yellow journalism is fake news. You bet, you bet, you bet. What did America regarding Kalinovich? You got to rephrase that question. Okay. President is in charge of the military, but remember that way back in the day, communication is not instantaneous. So if a naval officer decided, okay, we'll help with your revolt, then it's just going to happen. All right. Is there anything important about Pendleton? No, it does lead to the end of the spoils system. Eswira, I would ask you, what is the 4-Acre Act? Because you can Google, and then talk to me if you have problems about it. What'd the book say about Coxey's Army? Come on, we gotta raise our game when it comes to questions here, y'all. I am not Google. Hawaii isn't going to become a state till 1959. So we are in no hurry to make Hawaii a state. How did America colonize Puerto Rico? Well, we steamed in there, and then we planted a flag and we took it over. Sean, the two things that we remember about Taft is that he helped lower the tariff rate in the Payne-Aldrich tariff, and this angered big business Republicans. And then he turned around in a different episode and he fired Teddy Roosevelt's chief forester, Gifford Pinchot, in the Ballinger-Pinchot affair. And when he fires Teddy Roosevelt's handpicked environmental guy, he angered progressive Republicans. So everybody hates William Howard Taft in the run-up to the election of 1912. And that's part of the reason why Teddy Roosevelt challenges Taft, even though Roosevelt used to be a Republican. Roosevelt forms the Progressive Party to try and get Taft out of the White House. Okay. Why are the Philippines questions important? I would like you to rephrase that because I'm not sure what the Philippines questions are. Okay. Sherman Antitrust Act is toothless because the government won't use it. And even though in theory it would allow the government to break up monopolies and trusts, if the government's not going to use it to break up monopolies and trusts, it is toothless. Platt Amendment due to Cuba. Platt Amendment was a guarantee that the United States would intervene in Cuban affairs if any American lives or property were at stake. Essentially, the Platt Amendment turns Cuba into a puppet. Emma, I don't know why we haven't made Guam or Puerto Rico a state. That is a different conversation for another day. What do we need to know about Wilson as president? There's a big old list, right? Go to the tail end of chapter 20. There's a number of things that Brinkley talks about, progressive reforms that happened under Woodrow Wilson. Find those last 3-4 pages, and you have a really good synopsis of the important events of Wilson's presidency. Which came first, Platt or Teller? I think Teller, because Teller said we weren't going to annex Cuba. Platt turned it into a puppet. Significance of the square deal. Um, Roosevelt wants a square deal for the American worker. He wants a square deal for the American businessman. He wants workers not to be exploited. He wants everybody to be able to make money. So the square deal is Teddy Roosevelt trying to find a way to find bridges and agreements between workers and owners. Roosevelt is only wanting to blow up trusts when they dig in their heels and exploit their workers. So, think about Roosevelt trying to mediate the dispute between the mine owners and the United Mine Workers. He's trying to find some sort of middle ground. Other parts of Roosevelt's Square Deal, I guess you could say, Hepburn Act to regulate the railroads, using the Interstate Commerce Commission to regulate railroads and big business, using Sherman Antitrust, the Inspection Act, Pure Food and Drug Act, the Newlands Act to build dams and reservoirs out west, setting up national parks, all parts of the Square Deal. I think Boxer Rebellion is really very much about keeping the open door in China. Yeah. No, I think Hull House is a great example of call it a settlement house, Abin. Call it a settlement house as opposed to a welfare agency. The regulations that happen after Triangle Shirtwaist are mostly state and local regulations. You go to a hotel, they got to have fireproof doors every so many feet. They got to have fire alarms. They got to have strobe lights. These are local and state regulations to prevent injury and to increase safety. Same sort of stuff after Triangle Shirtwaist. But remember, before that fire, nobody wrote those codes. Nobody wrote those regulations. They're new after Triangle Shirtwaist. Right. Right, Avi, you are right. So Alfred Thayer Mahan wants a strong navy to help with global trade. And to get a strong navy, you have to have naval bases overseas. So Mallory, is Mahan going to give a thumbs up or a thumbs down on imperialism? Hmm. Come on. Thumbs up or thumbs down? Yep. If you're going to have naval bases, you're going to have to take over small corners of the world. And so Mahan would 100% agree that American imperialism is A-OK because it will lead to a better economy and more trade. You got it. Kron, isn't this the wrong night for you? Bring cookies, or I'm putting you in timeout, Chowdhury. Interstate Commerce Commission is a government agency that is set up to regulate multi-state corporations. It's a result of the Munn and Wabash cases where the state of Illinois tried to regulate the amount of money railroads could charge to carry farmers' goods to market. Because of Munn and Wabash, Supreme Court ruled that states couldn't regulate multi-state corporations. It's not right for the state of Illinois to be regulating a railroad that's running through Ohio. So ICC is supposed to step in. It's a federal agency. It's the first federal agency that tries to regulate big business. You don't have to be sorry. Sneaky. But Karan, don't you have like 2 other tests to study for? Yeah, the new woman does have more job opportunities, but let's remember why she's got more job opportunities, right? Um, the new woman's got more job opportunities because people are having fewer kids. The kids are compelled to go to school. There are labor-saving devices in the home, like the dishwasher and the washing machine and the vacuum cleaner. And so her ability to go out and find a job, get a job, she very much owes to a changing family and home situation. Right. Federal, for our intents and purposes, yes, the Federal Trade Commission and Interstate Commerce Commission have the same purpose, which is to regulate big business. Yeah, yeah. Philippines land grab, kill 100,000 Filipinos because their island chain is just really close to China and would make a great base to go and trade with the Chinese market. So yes, Philippine war, Philippine insurrection is a trashy war. Please don't ever put that in an essay. What do you have to know about Boston marriages? They exist. They are part of the new independent woman. I don't I don't think you're going to see a lot of questions about Boston marriages. Hmm, Fairchild. Um, so Ben, the Grange, what's it do? Right? So you've got fast fingers, Fairchild. What does the Grange do? Yeah, but help the farmers how? We got to be more specific than that. The what do we learn in class? What do we got in our notes? How does the Grange try and help the farmers? Right? We got to ask ourselves that question. How's the Grange try and help the farmers? So the Grange tries to get elected to local and state government to pass laws that would regulate the railroads. So how do we phrase that on our terms, Ben? Um, the Grange resulted from the farmers' anger at the unfair railroad rates that were keeping them poor. Grange is an example of political action that farmers took to regulate the railroads because it hurt their profit. Or maybe you roll the Grange led to the farmers' alliances and then the Populist Party, where farmers tried to increase their representation in government. Right? That's kind of how we got to think our way through significance. Can I make this a cause? Can I make this an effect? Can I make this an example? Okay. City manager is better than a mayor because the idea behind a city manager is that you hire him and you sign him to a contract and he doesn't worry about being reelected. He is paid a salary, so he's not worried about skimming money. You want to separate the politicians who are trying to get votes and get reelected from the city's money. And that's why the city manager, in theory, if the guy's under contract, you can fire him at any time, but he's also getting a salary. So the temptation to skim money is lesser. You know, I went over the insular cases first 5 minutes, so rewind and check that out. I don't think the farmers' alliances are more political. I think that the Grange ended in the early 1880s because prices got better. And then when prices got worse in the late 1880s, the alliances came along because the Grange kind of faded. Um, Both of them are going to try and direct political action at the state and local level. What the alliances realize is that they have no juice at the national level. They have no leverage to make Washington D.C. pay attention to them. So the farmers, the alliances go for the populist angle because they need allies in the cities. They need politicians to take note of them, right? Yes, Ida Tarbell's a muckraker who goes after Standard Oil, right? So when do the farmers' alliances turn into the populist party? When they get some allies in the cities, right? And so who are their allies in the cities? They're the union workers, the Knights of Labor, the other reformers. So the alliances will turn into the Populist Party when they form that partnership just in time for the election of 1892. The International Workers of the World, just like all the other socialists, they want an end to capitalism. Oh, dude, come on. Initiative and referendum? You got to do better than that. You got to ask me a better question because I taught you this like 4 or 5 times. So start typing, brother. Sean, railroads. It's the same old story. It's the amount of money they charge to ship farmers' crops to market. It's been that way for 4 weeks. Hasn't changed. Keep typing. Mm, major takeaway. Yeah, Teddy Roosevelt becomes president. Garfield. I'm sorry, Garfield assassination. Sorry. Don't worry about the Garfield assassination, please. All right, new nationalism and new freedom. So Brinkley is a little all over the place with new freedom. Woodrow Wilson wants to destroy trust. That's new freedom. He wants to destroy trusts and monopolies. New nationalism, which is Teddy Roosevelt, wants social justice through government action. Roosevelt very much wants to use government power to fix all of America's problems. He wants to go full progressive. New freedom is a little more targeted on the monopolies and trusts, blowing them up. Okay. All right, Sean Abby is going to help us out with initiative and referendum because he's looking it up right now in his notes. He's firing it up on Google. We have talked about it 2 or 3 times this week. I have full confidence he's going to come through for us. I don't know how to take that. Just start. You have 8 minutes. I don't think you helped her stress level at all. And then we're down to 7. Yeah, I guess I don't when I think Pendleton Act, I think civil service reform, but uh I don't necessarily put that together with Garfield's assassination. But sure. I mean, sure. Sure. That makes sense. Oh, come on, Charlotte. We were waiting for Abby. What did the USS Maine spam? The USS Maine thing led to spam. That's what it did. It led to spam. Yeah. My textbook is upstairs. Okay, all right. Hey, I love it. Yes, voter initiative and referendum allow people to bypass the state legislature. Absolutely. So if you believe your state legislature is corrupt, like the populists do, initiative and referendum are a way to get laws passed, or in the case of referendum, to get laws struck down without needing the dirty, corrupt politicians to do it for you. If you are a farmer, if you are a factory worker, if you believe government is not listening to your needs or your desires, then initiative and referendum is a way to bypass the legislatures and take political power in your own hands. Beautiful. Beautiful. Oh, come on. Now y'all just getting snippy with each other. Newlands Act, right? So what is it? Type me a response. What is the Newlands Act? You guys aren't always clever about asking me to do your homework for you. Type me a response. It's an oddly specific question about Robert La Follette. So I'm going to say yes, you should know, given it's only one word and you can handle it. Um, so I'm going to pause for a second on Subtreasury. Yes, Newlands Acts, irrigation projects, dams, reservoirs, bridges on public lands. So let's think about this for a second. It happens under the presidency of Teddy Roosevelt, right? So Newlands Act. Is it a cause of something? Probably not. Is it an example of Teddy Roosevelt's focus on conservation and the environment? Yes. Is it the result of Roosevelt wanting to protect the environment, to protect public lands, to preserve lands in their natural state? Is it the result of Roosevelt wanting to conserve natural resources and occasionally use them for the public good? We gotta be able to think like that, right? Sub-treasury plan. I'm a farmer. The crop prices are really low. If I sell my corn this year, the price is so low I won't make any money. Sub-treasury plan, the government builds warehouses. I take my corn down to the warehouse and I store it there for 6 months, 8 months, a year, 2 years, till the price of corn comes back up. And now I can sell it and I can actually make money. Yeah. Was Teddy Roosevelt the nature dude? I'm going to take a picture. So square deal, we talked about that earlier. Look about the 12-minute mark. I'm taking a picture of this. Yes, Teddy Roosevelt rode a moose. You are on it. You are on it. Yep. Yep. All right, we're down to about the last 90 seconds. What did Du Bois do? What did the book say? Come on, we're better than that. He is the guy who opposed Booker T. Washington. Yes. White education. Yeah. Yes, Underwood tariff decreases tariffs in general, which is a very progressive thing to do. Yep. It's an example of Woodrow Wilson's progressivism. Yeah, go back to the 10-minute mark, Abby, and you'll get 3-4 minutes on the square deal. Yes, sir. So scroll up, Sean, and I think Avi talked about the social gospel and what it attempts to do. You scroll up, you'll find it. Yeah, Keating's Owen got overturned by the Supreme Court because it infringed on the kids' right to go out and make money, which seems somewhat cruel. But in fact, yeah, it gets passed by Congress and then it gets overturned. It is a sad, sad story. That's why the little kids are in the factory saying, "Please, can I have some more porridge?" Yeah. Yep. Yep. You got it, brother. Scroll up. New Freedom. We talked about it, about the 20-minute mark. Okay. New Freedom versus New Nationalism. Hey, listen, I'm not sure Fourth Hour took this test seriously because they figured, it's a unit test. How bad it can it be? I know you have a second hour exam to study for, but do yourself a favor, put in your work tonight. Fourth Hour took it on the chin a little bit. I'm not sure they put the time in to get ready for this test. So please do so. Have a great night. We will see you mañana. Good night now.